You are now tuned into the 2-Minute Warning, a live stream community conversation pertaining to social and political issues and how we can collectively resolve them. Powered by the Westside Gazette.
What's up? Go ahead, Perry. Good evening. Good evening, everybody.
Go ahead.
Okay.
We're all here.
We're all here. Hey. The gang's all here. Thank you so very much. Yeah, it's been a while since we've been in each other's company.
Yes, it has been.
Yes, it has.
You guys are looking good, and it sure feels good to be here, I tell you.
Yes.
Even though we got a couple of things going on. Sandra, how you doing?
I'm hanging in there. Today, I was doing something, and then I saw my Facebook feed going crazy yesterday, and so we here. We just trying to get through the days, right?
Okay, absolutely.
Yes.
And Perry, now where are you coming from now? You moved a little further west?
Yes, I moved a little further northwest. I am in Goodyear, Arizona, which is about 30 minutes west of Phoenix. And so we're camping out here. We're in a different port, but enjoying it. Glad to be here because there's been so much happening on, I would say on you guys' side, but it's been everywhere and all around. So man, it is just good to be around good people and family.
Okay. Well, let's get to it. And hello to our listening audience, viewing audience. We're glad you're here. Thanks for joining the 2-Minute Warning. And we're going to do something a little different tonight. We're going to let Perry and Sandra take care of this business of hot topics. They have been discussing some things, and I'm sure you've heard it in the news. That one particular hot pot with that gentleman by the name of Kurt, God rest his soul. But we can't downplay the other side in Colorado. Where this young man shot 2 students and then killed himself. Yeah. So Perry and Attorney Sandra, I'll let you guys go here with the hot topics. Take it away.
So I'm trying to keep the jobs I have. That's all I'm gonna say. So I don't want to. No. I'm just kidding. Because really, when I saw the stories about Miss Charlie Kirk, it was one extreme or next, right? It was just the people who are on the Republican side of it or like consider themselves conservative. They was like, oh, I knew him. He was a good guy. He should not, his life should not be in danger because he's exercising his First Amendment right of speech and all of this stuff, right? And it was consistent. And then on the other side of it, because I have friends on both sides of the aisle, they were like, man, the things he said about women, black people, Martin Luther King, like just everybody, he should have seen it coming. And he's the one who said some people gonna get sacrificed because he was such a Second Amendment person. And then he ends up being a victim of gun violence, right? He said people are gonna be sacrificed in order for the rest of the country to have their Second Amendment rights. So they were not sympathetic at all. And I was like, I don't, it was just either they loved him or they hated him, and I saw very little in the middle. What was your experience, Perry?
I have to agree with that. And yes, I felt like we all retreated to some familiar grounds. While there may have been, and I didn't see outright celebration, let me say that. Although there have been, people saying that there have been people who have
a lack of empathy. Did you see a lack of empathy?
Right, and how ironic that people began to look at people's lack of empathy when Charlie Kirk himself said empathy was some sort of woke man-made idea that was somehow poisonous.
A wasted emotion.
So, I tend to look at it and, just being a preacher's kid, I just couldn't get away from just the spiritual lessons of Mr. Kirk. And, and I've not tried to question. People have said, oh, he's a Christian. I'm going to leave that up. As I said, may the Lord have mercy on his soul.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And where he stands. But it does not erase that we cannot give a critical critique of his performance, of his ideology, which was not new, and also his presentation. Everyone says that, oh, he wanted to have open debate. No, Charlie Kirk held events to publicly disgrace people. If he disagreed, it was not a discussion. If he didn't agree with your side, it was a bully, threatening, dismissive approach to your argument. That is not political discourse.
Mm-hmm.
And so, again, the Bible says, if you want to be a brother, then first present yourself as a brother or a sister. But just telling me that, oh, we're going to make this possible, and you begin to see, just how far, in a spiritual sense, we've allowed our country to come, because he said dismissive things about transgender people.
Mm-hmm.
He didn't even answer the guy's question. The guy asked, how many transgender mass murderers have there been in the last 10 years? Without thought, he said 2 many. And the crowd cheered. So it's not just Charlie. I mean, we have to look at what you say. You want to measure this? We want to measure Charlie. Then let's measure Charlie by this fruit that he's bearing. And so, I pray for his family, pray for his children. But Charlie has left something here for us to deal with.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And Perry, you use the term, it's ironic. And so I'll use that in this. It's ironic that this happened the day before September the 11th.
Yeah.
So where there was a
Mm-hmm.
All of a sudden, oh, we are, well, I'm gonna try to hold my thoughts. Oh, we are all Americans.
Mm-hmm.
We rally around the flag. We come to the rest, and then 2 days later, you better get you over there, and you Jewish, you better get over there. So it's when the chickens come home to roost, it's really not a good view. So, but I'll leave it. You two go ahead on. I'm gonna step back and let y'all go ahead.
No, and then he was promoting this replacement theory. Have all these people afraid that all the others are gonna come and take their place. And he said some real bad things about Haitians, like they gonna come and take over, and then next thing you know, Haiti's gonna come and take over parts of the United States. It's like, dude, where are you getting this from, right? So he really just did stoke but sometimes I wonder if did he just say these things because he was making a whole bunch of money on it or something, or did he really believe them? But at the same time, he had to have an audience for it, right? For him to continue to say it and for it to be profitable for him. Because I'm like, can you just hate everybody like that? Usually you just kind of pick one or two and then you have a problem with them, but he just almost had a problem with everybody. And then the type of things that were said was just so intolerant, but at the same time asking for tolerance, right? And I did have this discussion today with some folks, and they were referring to him as a conservative. And I somewhat take offense to the fact that folks with those kind of ideas have taken over the word of conservative and made it something that I think it's not. Because I have Haitian parents, and my parents are very conservative. I grew up very conservative in terms of like my views, right? Now, there's some things, as you get older and you start meeting more people, you mature, but the idea of like what they do and what he does is considered conservative is like that's not fair to people who truly have beliefs that are based in religious principles, right? Like things that come out of the Bible, and they've taken the whole idea of conservatism and turned it into this very ugly thing. So now, even if you are conservative, you won't say it. You be like, well, because they're gonna associate me with all these people that hate everybody, but it's really not that. It's just that I think certain type of relationships should exist, or I have certain beliefs, but not all this other thing that has been added to it in the name of, I don't, because none of it is godly to me at all. So,
okay. I'm going to ask
I would also like to add in, a little bit more piece of irony in the sense that I don't think, and it would just add to, unfortunately, to Charlie's martyrdom, that they want to claim that you can be we might as well be prepared that they are going to proclaim him a martyr in their world and in their thinking. And I think what will probably add to that is, after this administration has gutted the FBI of some of its most seasoned and experienced investigators, that now we're left with this, these, the bunch of Barney Fifes in here that no one will take them seriously in terms of whether or not they do have a criminal, whether or not they're just trying to add something to it. Let's not forget, they so easily wrapped up the president's attempted assassination once they said that young man killed himself. You really didn't hear anything else. And so we might as well get ready for an attempt to ramp up. But as I still have in my background, we still remember the Epstein files. We still remember what you're doing to immigrants. We still remember what you're doing. We still remember prices are going up. We also remember that the president just took over, what was it? Over $750 million from universities in terms of scholarships for minority students.
Yeah, can't cover that up. But if I can,
we can't cover that one up.
No, hold your thoughts. We're gonna have to do an entire show on this, because there's a lot that is involved with this that is really indicative of who we are as a country. So let's just hold that for a minute. Let's get our sports aficionado on here, our new Hall of Famer. Let's get Noonie to come on and hear what he has to say. Good evening there, Coach Noonie.
Coach.
Coach trying to get his sound together.
He calling plays.
Hey, he's in the huddle. Okay.
He's going.
We'll get him back. Okay.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. No, and it's just a little bit on that too. And I know you said we're going to talk about it again, but just the kind of things he said about black women, right? Like everybody's a DEI hire, nobody's qualified. He see a black pilot, he going to be not getting on the plane. I mean, just all the types of things he said. But then folks want you to be tolerant and defend his right to say things and question your very existence, So, I mean,
Yeah. Okay. Let's see.
Yeah.
Is he?
I just wonder what he saw when he saw Jesus.
Can y'all hear me? We can hear you.
Yeah, we hear you. We hear you, Noonie. Yes, sir.
Okay.
No.
Okay.
All right. Good evening. Good evening, everybody. Good evening, Sandra.
How you doing?
I'm doing fine. I apologize. I received a phone call and it knocked me off.
Oh, okay.
And I thought I would be able to come back on. But let me just say quickly, I want to thank the West Side Gazette newspaper, Bobby, my sisters-in-law, and my wife for supporting me so vividly and so well in my induction into the Tuskegee University Hall of Fame.
All right.
Which occurred it occurred this past weekend in Tuskegee. We had a marvelous time. There were 11 other inductees, and I hadn't really thought about it. I graduated in 1969, and but once I was nominated by Thaddeus Smith, who was a recent inductee himself in 2022, and supported by my alumni club, the South Florida Tuskegee Alumni Association. And we went through the process, and I was accepted as an inductee. I was honored, and I just want to thank my supporters, from family members and especially my fraternity brothers, Harry Harrell and Daryl Johnson and Furman Johnson, who thought it not robbery to travel with me to Tuskegee to support me. And I was just so impressed by the other inductees, and I'm so thankful, and I just thank God for the honor. And I'm going to leave it at that, Bob, because I know you all have a great show. And next week, I promise you I'll have some more stuff about sports. But thank you. The article is in the West Side Gazette, and it's also online. So you all have a great show, and I will be listening.
So I have to say congratulations for that. And my youngest brother went to Tuskegee.
All righty.
Brother graduated from there, class of 2001. Yeah, class of 2001.
Sandra, he would understand this when I say TU, you know.
Yeah.
All right, y'all.
All righty.
But thank you, Nui, and congratulations.
Yeah.
Okay, now let's get to it. Welcome to the 2-Minute Warning Show. Tonight we're tackling the subject that too many of us experience, but too few of us talk about it. From shame to support, a mental health conversation. In our homes, schools, workplaces, and even churches, conversations around mental health are often silenced and dismissed. Instead of companions, people battle depression, anxiety, and trauma. And they're met with labels like weak, crazy, or unstable. This shame keeps too many in the shadows, suffering alone. But tonight, we're bringing the issue into the open. With the help of mental health advocates and community leaders, we ask the hard questions about why stigma persists, how it affects lives, and what can we do together to replace shame with support, silence with understanding, and fear with healing. This is more than a show. It's a conversation about saving lives and reclaiming dignity. So with that, let's bring our guest on the show. Okay, let's start with Kobe Kelson, and then we'll bring on Dr. Scott, and we will allow them to introduce themselves. Both of them are extremely active in the advocacy of mental health, from the professional level of way out there to the student university level of bringing it all down home. So if we'll start with our elders first. Kobe, do you mind if we allow Dr. Scott to introduce himself?
That's no problem.
Thank you.
Thank you, Brother Bobby Henry. I think I got Kobe by about 2 or 3 years. But anyway, my name is Dr. Kevin Scott. Actually, I specialize in traumatology and mental health. My background is primarily from the Veterans Health Administration, myself being a combat era veteran of the Persian Gulf War. And just being exposed through life experiences, and this just dealing with mental health at at myriad levels and layers throughout the lifespan. So that's about it.
Okay.
And I belong to the greatest fraternity
Brother Kobe?
on the planet.
Mm-hmm. Yes, sir.
Greetings, everyone. My name is Kobe Kelson. I am also a man of Omega Psi Phi Fraternity Incorporated. I was initiated in 2023, spring of 2023. I attended Southern University, currently attend Southern University, and also am enrolled in Tulane School of Business. So I'm attending the HBCU and what you may call so-called PWI. I focus on in many capacities of mental health, whether it be promoting it within my fraternity, as I serve as Louisiana undergrad state rep to the 9th District Council, or promoted on Southern University campus, or where I served in the marching band as section leader of the trombone section, and then now on Tulane's campus as well, leading on their campus in the business school as well. So mental health has always been something very, very important to me. We're partnering with different organizations in Baton Rouge, Louisiana, such as Set Free Indeed, the Human Jukebox, and the Husband Family Foundation. I've tried my best to promote and do the best I can to share awareness,
Very good.
spread awareness.
And- yeah, thank you. And Dr. Scott, let's start with you. Uh, the what we might miss when it comes to understanding mental health from your perspective, what would that be?
Well, that's an excellent question. When you say what we might miss, and I think just on a very rudimentary level, what we may miss, two things. That mental health is not something that takes place later in life or in midlife or when a crisis happens. Mental health actually is in utero, finds its nexus in utero, meaning that even through pregnancy, the vitality and that nurturing, the bonding, all of that plays a crucial role in mental health moving forward. And what do I mean by that? You will find it especially will present itself at a very early age in children who have attachment issues. They may display aggressive behaviors, isolate themselves if they've never been nurtured or coddled or had positive reinforcement. They tend to work from a survival skill. And then if you add a crisis into that, whatever that crisis may be. So I think that's one most very polarizing thing that we often overlook. A second thing that we often overlook when it comes to mental health is that mental health has a cultural and gender component to it. Male mental health and female mental health are two different things, even endogamous to the same culture. Black mental health for Black men looks much different than Black mental health for Black women. And we need to understand that. We need to understand the various layers, the various intercepts over the lifespan, because my mental health at 15 through 25 look very different from 45 to 55. And so I'll just I'll pause right there and give Brother Kelson, he may want to jump in there if you want to ask a follow-up, Brother Henry.
Mm-hmm. I want to switch gears as it pertains to Brother Kelson. You know, you are on the college campuses, you know, and you see perhaps mental health from a different perspective. Why is mental health still such a taboo and the subject in our communities, and especially on our college campuses?
And speaking to the college campuses, one major thing is that in the Black, and I'll even add in just in the Black community in general, we don't hit pain where it is. We're taught from our young ages as young men, especially since I am a young Black man. If you're not strong, don't cry about it. You know, cover it up, keep it secret. When you get on, and I'm on the HBCU campus, I want to speak to the fact that today, you know, we had a major episode, I want to call it. Someone sent in a letter saying, hey, I'm going to come to this campus and I'm going to shoot this, do this, and do all these different things in nature. And you think that maybe we might have counselors on hand, we might have counselors walking around, but You're told to just keep on pushing. You're black and strong. Sometimes we have to know that even though we're coming with all this amazing now, we may be the smartest grouping of people in the world, we still need help. I would say that those things, the constant put downs and the hidden truths that we hold. And Dr. Scott, I want to touch on something that you spoke when it comes to in talking about, my generation, how it's different. Black women black men are higher prone to suicide than black women. And I say that to say, if you see a lot of the young women who are on college campuses, they're calling their girlfriends and they're talking about, man, he did this today, or this happened in my class, or this was going on. And it spins over when they get older black women, they're calling their girlfriends who they work with. Even I can remember my grandmother calling her sisters or calling her different church members and saying, this is going on, I'm worried about this child. We don't do that as black men. And it comes, and you can see it on the college campuses, that our young black men, we're not talking to each other about these things. It's not an intimate connection that we have with each other. And I think that's where the stigmas continue to put around, because we've been told since we're young, put it in the box, cover it up. But we're not talking about the stigma that just the negative stigma that's put on blacks, that are put on blacks so bad to where we were threatened with a shooting on the HBCU campus. And now no one's thinking about the minds of those students. They're only thinking about, man, who is this? Who's going? Nobody's saying, man, I wonder how that affected those students mentally.
Yeah, Sandra, I know you want to jump in there, but before
no, go ahead. Go ahead.
I want to say I was on something.
Because I have a question, today. But go ahead.
So I'm gonna pass it to you. I promise. I want to a point that I want to make sure that is expounded upon and polarized exponentially. When you talk about the variance between the male and the females, understand this. And I just had this conversation last week. No, actually yesterday, when I was talking to some other women of color who work in the medical field into mental health. Understand this: from the time we got off the boat, black women have been the front runners.
Yeah, that's true.
They have led the charge when it comes to black mental health. Literally, all through across the diaspora, all through slavery, all through that. They are the ones. Think about it. When you do your history, when you look at the tragedies, you done made me take off my glasses, young, that have beset black culture. Black women have always led the charge when it comes to mental health and keeping that family unit together, that nuclear family. Men have always, like you said, have been the ones who have had to answer the clarion charge of being strong, quote unquote, the breadwinners. But when there was any disruption to that familiar unit, Big Mama, Nana, whoever, they the ones who got the family together and prayed. They were the glue.
That's right.
In the overwhelming majority of black families. So it is in the DNA of black women. Plus, they talk. They talk. They go to the bathrooms in groups. They go to lunch in groups. Everything they do, they talk. Black men do not talk to one another. Why? Because we have been so inoculated with fearing each other. Sandra, I'm gonna go ahead and give it to you. You go ahead, because I know you.
No. I appreciate you acknowledging, the contribution of black women to a lot of spaces, right? Because I was somewhere over the weekend and it seemed like everything ended up being black women's fault. I'm like, really? Like, wow. we responsible for all of it. If something go wrong, find a black woman, it's her fault that it happened, right? So I really appreciate, and this is someone who's supposed to be giving advice to people, right? And everything he said, the road went back to like how this is our fault. So I truly appreciate you at least acknowledging that. And some of it may be our fault, but it ain't always our fault, right? But when you were making your point initially, I'm listening to what you were saying, and I actually thought the conversation was going to talk about how more people are born with mental illness, right? Like, you know, because that's one of the realities, right? People are just born with it. They got to get medicated, figure out the tools, and sometimes a lot of things happen because it goes undiagnosed, right? You know, like they have all these different ways of explaining the behavior, or people are in denial. So that's one part of it, right? But then I also heard that most of y'all comments from both of you, Dr. Scott and Kobe, where it was like, it's more of our experiences that's creating the mental illness in Black folks, right? So like, so how do we deal with that? It's like, there are people who are born with it and going undiagnosed, not treated. They may, you know, find themselves, you know, drinking, drugging, doing whatever to handle it. But then it also seems as like just the reality of our existence, our experiences are going to put us in a situation where we're all going to have some level of mental illness, like in life, is kind of how I heard it. But I don't know if that's what you meant to say, you know? Yeah.
Absolutely. It goes back to what Brother Henry asked me initially. And to your point, absolutely. There is a physiological component to mental health. There's a psychological component to mental health. And then there is a environmental component to mental health. To your point, some people are born with mental health proclivities. Others come through life experience. But the other underlying things for those who do not have a biological, physiological predisposition for mental health, in my opinion, is the trauma. We live in so much trauma within the culture that we don't even realize it's trauma. We have become so adroit at functioning in a chaotic, traumatized society. I'm talking about internally, familial, that it becomes normal.
Right.
Yelling at each other becomes normal. Physical confrontations become normal. Living in poverty becomes normal. The digital divide becomes normal. All of these things contribute to that. So that lived experiences cause that. And into your point, Sandra, now we can have a traumatic response to that is both mental and physiological. So now if I wasn't born with it, now I can become paranoid, schizophrenic, anxiety, depressed, suicidal. Quote unquote, I don't know how it happened. Over the lifespan. It is a very nefarious, subtle disease. Mental health is very, very crafty. Very crafty. That's why you can see a person who was vibrant in their teen years, and in their late to early 30s, they're depressed, isolate themselves, thoughts of suicide, the whole gamut.
So I have a question on that, because when you talk about the experience, so every now and then I find myself in a situation where like I can talk my way through most things, right? But then I get to the point I was like, listen, I'm from Miami. We ain't finna keep talking, right? Is that some sort of like manifesting or some level of mental illness because I just want to handle it the way we would do it in the 305 because of the way I grew up? It's just a legit. I think it's a legit.
That's called thuggetism, Sandra. You need a plant or a therapy dog is what you need to get. But no, I understand. But again,
that's but really, some of us think that because that's us normalizing that. Listen, ain't nobody going back and forth with you.
Absolutely,
that's us normalizing some sort of like mental illness that our environment has basically, created, and we just think it's normal behavior to just be like, I ain't going back and forth with you, like,
This conversation brings up this question. All right, we're living in a time of constant political tension, racial injustice, and economic uncertainty. How is this national climate, this coming in, weighing in on people's mental health, especially in marginalized communities? And let's hear what you got to say, Cole.
I will say it's horrible. when you talk about this generational trauma, and I want to use the word epigenetics. When you talk about going from the ship to now, and you seeing that we're constantly being beat down, You know, that killing that happened with that young man who was shot not too long ago. I think it was maybe a day or two ago. You know, when I think about it, I think about some of my people who were out protesting in Baton Rouge, Louisiana, who were shot and killed by the police. I think about how things constantly keep on adding up, and it brings back the memories in your mind. The political climate right now, that you could have 4 or 5 HBCUs in one day threatened, you know, and it's like in the past, these were the same things happening, the same constant struggles that are hitting Black people are constantly happening. And if I want to talk about, if I want to go and even talking about the on the PWI side, because I don't want to leave my PWIs and my other races out. You know, with me being on Tulane's campus, constant protest. The students are uprising and saying we're having problems with this. We're being judged on these kind of levels. You know, political candidates are putting out, we need to do these inappropriate things to women. We need to grab them by this and do those things, and nothing's happening at all. You know, the Jeffrey Epsteins and all these other people are being honored. But look, think about how that impacts young people in today's world, to see that you can be a victim. You can have all the evidence that you were attacked, that you were wrong. And some people just have enough power just to overwhelm all that evidence. And I would say to you all that because of the digital world, because of all these cameras and these phones, it's so easy to see everything happening. It's hard to BS somebody when you have a photo or a video of it, but then on the other side, you turn around, you've done some traumatic. It gives you a person no justice. Something that helps people's mental health is not only going to a counselor, not only using platforms not like 988, not only having a group or a circle that you can protect yourself in, but sometimes it'll help when you have justice with that person who did you wrong, with that group that did you wrong. I digress to say that with this political climate, I don't see Black, white, Hispanic, Asian people being able to progress mentally, because we're constantly being put on a strain to where it doesn't matter what your race is. If it's not green, nobody's having peace.
So what do we do? What do we do? Because it's consistent. It's like every day. It's every day. It's every day. So what do you do? Because you know, we don't talk about stuff without offering solutions, right? So what do we do when it's like it's constant? It's like this today, and you be like, okay, I figured this out. And then tomorrow is something else. It's like, what do you do? How do you manage this constant barrage of all these different types of pressures that are coming at you when you really can't control it? Like, I don't know. I don't want to say you can't control it. Like, what do you do?
I would say that you learn to, first thing you do is you control the things that you can control. You get I'm not saying that having a counselor is a bad thing. I'm saying you gain a counselor, you get your group, you rally and get your circle together. But the last thing that I have to say, when it comes to your mental health and protecting your mental health, you have to fight. We need to start, people in our marginalized groups, we need to start supporting platforms like Brother Henry. We need to start supporting people like you who are hosting and having these conversations, to where we start getting our message out that our mental health is important. And not only that, we share the resources that we have in our communities. A lot of times, and even being in the Black community, we have a lot of amazing Black counselors. We have a lot of amazing Black doctors and Black groups that will be able to help. I know for sure from my own chapter that I'm a part of, we host, a weekly men's circle. We have to start informing our people about the resource that we have, because the cavalry is not coming. No one is coming to help our marginalized group. So we have to make the change on our own. And I think one of the issues that we have in Black communities is that we're waiting. We sometimes act as if we're waiting on someone when we have all the resources. We have all the kings and queens. We have the doctors and lawyers. We got the Bro Henrys, the Dr. Scotts. We got them. We got them right here. Let's use them to our advantage.
And I would also, real quick, Brother Henry,
go do it.
To your point, Sandra, what you said, what do we do? I think we have to really go back to COVID. And what COVID did is COVID took away all of our social interaction. We had to isolate. And one of the major studies have revealed, or studies show, one of the things that was really underscored during that COVID epidemic was that people did not have the ability to self-soothe and anchor themselves emotionally by themselves. So if you don't have the ability to calm your own spirit. It's called returning your body to a state of homeostasis, where you're calm, you're in a very, very level set. And unfortunately, Sandra, to your point, and I mean, it's such a salient, poignant point that when we become overwhelmed with these emotions and these external stimuli, that we can't talk ourselves off the ledge. We can't use that positive self-talk. So now, to your point, you from the 305, well, I ain't gonna keep going back and forth with you. So I have not practiced that skill set. And I also believe that it is imperative that a person, for their own mental health, that you have a grounding routine. Mm-hmm. Whatever it is for you that helps you ground. For me, I walk every day and get on a prayer call every morning, no matter what. Mm-hmm. And when I don't do that, now my homeostasis has been interrupted. Mm-hmm. And once you become used to calming your own spirit, when you can't give that power to nobody else, even your spouse, your kids, your mother, your parents, when you can control your narrative, you're well on your way to owning your own mental wellness.
Mm-hmm. I want to interject something in here. And as you were speaking, Dr. Scott, I saw this park full of people, full of Black folk, old folk, young folk, all kinds, doing the same thing that them Chinese and Japanese do with that Tai Chi. So the question was asked, what do we do? What's wrong with us doing that? Collectively coming together to express a physical form of getting off some tension. I think I might be hitting on to something. I don't know. That's just me talking. But that whole concept just resonated with me when you were saying that, to see this community working in unison to get rid of some of that stress, breathing in and breathing out. So but that's just me. Anyway. But the question now, let me get back to another question. I do ramble sometime, okay. We've seen rising in rates of youth depression, suicide, and anxiety since the pandemic. What urgent steps should schools and communities be taking to address this crisis? Who want to go at it first?
I mean, when you talk about schools, I laugh because when we talk about, and I'm going to look through the conduit of the public school system. Mm-hmm. They are so scared to death right now on on what, to your point, so you want to keep the jobs you got. You know what I'm saying? So I mean, if we're gonna keep it a buck, we're gonna keep it a buck. They are so scared to death. Mm-hmm. On what they can do and cannot do, what I can teach, what I can't teach. But I do believe that we do need to have a mental health curriculum or components of mental health. I do believe that. I do believe we need to have, and within that mental health curriculum, that we need to, especially for our young Black men, and now even for our young Black girls, because they're becoming more aggressive as well. De-escalation skills, to be able to articulate even when you're upset. I think that would go a long way in proliferating positive mental wellness across the board. I know a lot of individuals who are educators who work in the school systems, and I hear it all the time. Man, he's I mean, it's at this age, it's at the 60s. I mean, so, and let's face it, and being all fair to our children, it is tough being a kid now. They're exposed to so much. Mm-hmm. They're around a lot of environments they ain't got no business being around. I hate to say it, a lot of these parents, I think they're their kids, friends. So it's just a lot of exposure to child. And to your point, Brother Kobe, you made a great. Growing up in this digital era, this social media era, and I'm so glad I didn't have it when I was growing up. It's terrible. It's terrible because it's hard for them to turn. It's hard for them to turn it off. And then to your point, son, when we talk about when you get into those formative years, when teenage years, that prepubescent and puberty. Now I got to look like this. If I don't look like this, you know what I'm saying? How do I identify? Where do I go to? Where do I fit in? It's just a lot. It's just a lot.
Yeah. And I just wanted to say, when you talk about that, I'm like, how do they develop like the social skills when all their friends
They're
are
not.
online? Because when I was growing up, we played outside. We would get, like I did from Miami, we got into a fight, but we walked to school together the next morning because that was yesterday, right?
Yeah.
Like, we had that dispute, we resolved it, we got past it, we still friends. We know at the end of the day, we good, right? But now, like, how do you even manufacture or create that experience where they really do know how you can work through disputes with people and you're still okay, even if you had like a major disagreement?
Exactly.
Right? Like, what do we do? Like, because I have teenagers and I'm just like, I'm scared for them to go outside because like, can you really handle it? So can you?
I would say,
and
adding on to the point about the way our generation is using these cell phones and different things, and not on that the educational system, the first thing I says, I think our teachers need more trainings. I think school districts, and I'm just speaking with Louisiana, we do something called Caption Kids Hearts. We tell the teachers, hey, we want you to draw on the board and say, 10 things that you feel like you should be treated by, how you write down how you want your students to treat you, and then you tell them, write down how the students need to treat you and how you gonna treat the students. And then they pay $1.5 million for that program, yearly in my school district. I know many school districts in Louisiana have it. Imagine if we fought and we were able to have each teacher simply be mental health first aid trained, so where they had an understanding that if something goes wrong, we know what to do. One of the major anxieties that I think for my generation is simply taking their cell phone away. If you take that phone, that laptop, that phone goes dead. They can't call, they can't text, they can't go check in Instagram. If the internet goes down, my people in my generation, and even it's worse when they get younger, you're going to see them in a situation where they start spasming out.
Absolutely.
Now, imagine if you're in a classroom and the student is on their phone and they take their phone away from them, and you thinking that student is angry because they taking that phone away from them, when they're really having an anxiety attack because they've never had a moment without that phone in their hand being charged, being ready for them. That also brings on a certain mindset of instant success, instant gratitude. Those phones bring on a heightened amount of dopamine release, quick dopamine releases. And I think that's what's really messing up our youth in my generation with their social skills. That's not even talking about the aspect of a boy meets girl. Boy has a totally different mindset on what a girl should look like because of certain things, like you have OnlyFans, Pornhub, so X videos, so many different things that are given a false reality, and in their mind is plaguing their mental health because they're thinking in their mind that's what a black woman needs to look like. She needs to look perfect. She has to have the perfect waist. When they don't get that black woman that they envision and they see, that anxiety starts kicking up. But it starts from that phone. It starts with that phone that we have now that causes all this anger, anxiety. And I think children growing up need to be limited from using them. My mama gave me a flip phone. And guess it helped my mental health so much because I can go without having my cell phone or answer the text. Bro, Bobby Henry, Henry, sometimes I'll sit my phone down. I ain't answering the phone because I'm focused on living in now. And that helps your mental health. You going on being on a prayer call. I just started that. And it has changed my mindset so much because I drive about an hour to hour 30 minutes to Tulane every single morning, and being on that prayer call with people who have like minds as you, not only just saying because my frat bros, man, after I get off this call, I'm gonna jump on my church's prayer call because I had a brother to pursue me and say, hey bro, this may help you in a way that you don't really know. So we really have to get to our youth. We have to find some ways to get them out of these circles that we already in, and we really have to meet my generation where they are. And it's the hard thing to say because y'all grew up in the mindset of, man, we gonna go outside, we're gonna fight, we're gonna come back. My generation not like that. My generation mentally is like he beat me so bad. I talk about that that epigenetics and going back in past history. they're not fighting you. They're not coming back trying to fight you, man. They go and fight that person who hurt their mama, their daddy, they hurt their grandfather. They bring that's why they're pulling them guns out, because they're trying to have some sense of power over a situation instead of being like your generation where, man, I lost, we good. My generation coming back that next day with the iron, that iron.
Kill your whole family.
Yeah, and I think
digress.
you don't digress, because you have really made Sandra's point about can they deal with it? They don't understand. Your generation has no idea what resilience and adversity and working through that looks like, because your generation lives in an instant self-gratification society. You got Amazon Prime, you got drive-throughs, you got if you go into a store anywhere, if there's a line, you're walking out of it, you ain't gonna stay. You know, if you call and ask to make reservations, if there's a 45-minute or longer wait, you're calling another place until your point. If your feelings get hurt, if you embarrass me, I'm going to go get that thing and come back right now because I need instant self-gratification. I
did something to you.
Exactly, because I need, to your point, I need to feel vindicated, RATNI, right now.
Right now.
Not tomorrow, not next week. I need it right now.
Let me do this. Let me interject this. I'm going to back up for a second. The word fear was mentioned earlier. All right. Isn't fear a mental health issue? Just hold that thought. Okay, I'm going to just use that. Fear, false evidence appearing real. So that being, if that's the case, and we are, then we're producing mental illness. If we're constantly putting people in fear or pushing them that way, aren't we producing mental illness? Am I that far off?
I'm gonna say this. I think you can get into a situation where people can be misdiagnosed, and that can perpetuate a certain fear. But I think that through psychoeducation, understanding, being aware of what you're dealing with. If you understand that you have anxiety, if you suffer from depression, that ain't nothing to be afraid of. We treat diabetes, we treat cancer, we treat kidney failure. We have to look at mental wellness through the same lens as these other social detriments of health. We must approach it from a treatment model, trauma-informed, opposed to a diagnostic model, and move towards that end. And what do I mean by that, Brother Henry? It is people who have cancer or hypertension. We don't tell them to stop having cancer, stop having high blood pressure. We treat it. So if a person suffers from schizophrenia, or I'm gonna give a suicide, because suicide is, Brother Kobe mentioned suicide. People have suicidal ideations. They may not admit it, but they have them. We want to tell them, especially culturally, first of all, we want to pray it out of them, number one. That's a whole different subject. Then we want to tell them, don't have those thoughts. Well, how are you going to tell me not to have these thoughts? How are you going to tell me not to hear these voices in my head? Educate me on what's going on with me to help me manage this symptomology so that when I do have these thoughts, I don't act on them. See, having suicidal ideations is not the problem. It is acting on those suicidal ideations that is the problem. And I think once we understand that, so are we scaring people into having mental health issues? I would say on the very outliers of the bell curve that they may happen, but very, very, very rare. I think most mental wellness issues are valid and real.
Brother, and if I could add on that real quick, and I'm gonna say this and I'm gonna say this as simple as I could possibly say it. Bro, Henry, if you can answer this question for me, if you have a heart problem, who are you going to?
I'm going to a cardiologist.
if you with the brush, your teeth fall out, your tooth falls out, you don't get teeth put back in, who you going to?
Man, let me looking in my mouth like that, Cole.
Hold up.
I'm going to a dentist.
You going to a dentist? All right, now Miss Sandra. All right, you ready?
Yeah, I think so.
You might have to have surgery tomorrow on
Mhm.
your arm. Who you going to? Who you gonna call?
It depends. Maybe an ortho, depending on what's going on. But I'm gonna go to the professional. I'm gonna find
You
the
gonna
one.
go to the professional.
Yes, I'm going to the professional. I ain't
You
trying
have
to.
you start questioning something in
Mhm.
your life, in your faith. Who you gonna go to?
Well, my faith. I mean, I go to church on Sunday, so you know.
If you got a question about the Bible and your faith, who you gonna
Oh
ask?
yeah, I'm going to church. I'm asking the Lord and someone who I know that's a scholar in religion and theology.
But we don't do that when it comes to our mind. We
Mhm.
don't do that. When we start having these suicidal ideations, we don't think to go to our therapist, to think to go to a counselor. We don't think to call 988. It's a lot of mental health hotlines that you can use. We need to start putting our priorities to where when we start having these audiations, when we start being stressed and depressed, that we go ahead and say, man, I need to call Dr. Scott. I need to call somebody who give me some to a therapist as soon as possible, because I believe that God ordained some people to be skilled in being able to handle the mind and be able to heal the mind. Just like there are people who can heal different physical illnesses, I believe that God has somebody who He's ordained with enough power from Him that can take place and intercede and tell you, hey, this is how you fix this trauma. This is how you move forward, bro. I'm a stop on that note.
Yeah,
Okay,
and
and
you
that's
know,
good.
so
That's a good point.
let me say
We're
one
at
thing
the
on
we're
that
at the
though.
top of the hour. Go ahead,
So
Sam.
one of the things is that a lot of people, it seems as though therapy was like you couldn't get to it, right? Because it's expensive, right? A lot of folks don't have insurance like that that's going to cover it, right? They don't have the money for it. Medicaid and Medicare may not want to pay for that, right? I mean, apparently Medicare paying for acupuncture now, but I don't know if they pay for like mental health stuff. But that's part of it. It's like, well, how do you access it, right? People don't really know, and when they do know, they can't afford it. And then the big thing for a very long time was like, who are you going to speak with, right? They're going to send you to this professional that has no clue about nothing about your life, and they have absolutely no understanding, right? And that was a big thing. Like my nephew is a mental health counselor. He's a black male, and he's doing extremely well just because he's a black man that's providing therapy. I was like, man, I made some wrong choices in my life, right? Because he's doing extremely well. And it's because he's a black man providing therapy, and people will come and talk to him, right? So we
Right.
have this. So black folks is like, I don't like to blame black people for all the things, black situations black folks find themselves in, because resources were really unavailable to them for a very long time. And we're in a new space where we have brothers like you guys that are here that can provide that service. But there was a gap for a very long time. And we're trying to play catch up on getting our mind right, you know? So
I ain't gonna lie to you. I really feel as though that gap really started to, that gap really started to close on the after the pandemic. And the pandemic really started a lot of speaking shows. We really started getting on our technology. We really started getting in on having even more using these therapists that we had. And I want to speak to black therapists, and not on that minority therapists in minority areas. Those are some of the best people you can ever talk to, because guess what? I relate to somebody who has a common struggle. I'm gonna talk to somebody. I won't talk to another angry black man. And guess what? If you have it, if you got it, you can share it. And then guess what? A person who's been hurt can relate to me easier than a person who ain't been hurt. If you got it, it shows. So let me tell you something. I know from the counselor that I talk to, and I'm saying personally, I go to a counselor. My counselor can relate to me because my counselor been through some of the same stuff I've been through. My counselor is a black man. He's had to deal with being a black man in the United States, and it helps because a few years ago, I didn't even know there were black counselors. I had no idea that black people really for years were really leading in this field, and we had a lot of different whites and people who were hiring them, and it's a very fruitful business. I digress to say that it's we have a wealth of resources. Everybody has a 501. So let's use these
Kobe,
resources.
okay, we lost you. All right, we're at the top of the hour, and I want to do this. I don't want our viewing artists to think that we're not paying attention to them. There are a couple of things I want to point out. Okay, one is Miss Anita Sparks, and it's the last comment. She said, "From my experience, it has been hard for me to find a Black female therapist that accepts insurance. Most of the ones I was referred to only took cash, debit, and credit cards." So we'll address that one. The other thing is, one of our viewers says that if we can we please address the shame associated with mental health? So we'll use that as a closing point, as a topic to go out on. So if we can have our two panelists to address that point about the shame and mental health, and if the Miss Sparks wanting a female therapist, and Sandra, you may be able to help her with that.
Yes, yes, I'm actually pulling up the information right now.
Okay, good.
Yeah,
good.
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, unfortunately, again, the stigma, the societal shame, and the stigma associated with mental health, for some people can be it's such an ignominious association, and it hangs around people's neck like an albatross. Unfortunately, I know people who would rather have the stigma of being a substance abuser than being someone with mental health or mental wellness challenges, especially in the background of veterans. Veterans would much rather be associated with alcohol and drugs than mental health. And it is because of that ignominious stigma that's associated with that they carry, that they think is going to just hang around their neck like an albatross for the rest of their lives. People get through mental wellness, and to the point about the young lady, Ms. Starks, who asked about not accepting insurance. Unfortunately, every blue moon you will find providers that don't take insurance, Medicaid, Medicare, private. Unfortunately, they some just won't. To your point on earlier side of that, and that eliminates a lot of people. So it's unfortunate, but it does happen. But the stigma associated with mental illness is still very prevalent. It's still very real, and people still struggle with that.
Okay.
Yeah.
When we start talking about the shame, and shame is a very powerful word. And before I mention, about the shame with mental illness, a lot of people think that when you're talking about substance abuse and mental illness, that they're two separate things. Sometimes they actually do overlap, and sometimes they are completely separate. I think that sometimes with people, when we're talking about the shame between both of those things, behind both of those things, and you start advocating for the change and want to do better, it does bring a certain level of shame on you. Because I'm a person who still deals with depression, stress and anxieties, or stress and anxiety occasionally. And I would say to you that, I'll even bring up the black church, and I'll put in a reference. I go to church and I'm with my woman, and I just got saved. And I get home and we get in an argument, and she say, "Oh, you just got saved at the church," and make me not want to go to church no more. That's the same thing when it comes to advocating for mental health. When you get around people and you tell them, "Hey, I advocate for mental health, but I'm still battling with depression. I'm still battling with anxiety." Sometimes it's like, "But man, you were just over here promoting this, and you were just saying that, we can change and we can do better, and, we can fight and we can help each other. But you over here, you're still dealing with this right now." We have to continue to fight through the trauma. We have to continue to fight through the depression, anxiety. We have to continue to talk about it. And we cannot allow for the shame to discourage us from organizing, from advocating. We can't allow for it to discourage us. You might battle with the substance abuse. You might battle with this mental health problem, and some would put it as being worse, some put it as being better. I have met people who would put mental health problems as being worse than substance abuse, but I don't think that they understand that when you were doing you had your substance abuse problems. Remember the trauma that you were facing at that time. You didn't just start drinking because you just love to drink. No, you started drinking because something traumatic happened to you, and then it turned into a situation where you started to become schizophrenic, start having anxiety, you started battling with depression, you started having suicidal ideations, and you're like, man, where did all this come from? We have to hit it on the nail and push away the shame and say, man, I have to get better. And we can no longer suffer in silence. When I say suffer in silence, I say you are not the only one who's dealing with this. You're not in this little box, and you're not a sick, dirty person that nobody wants to touch. This is not the plague. I can touch you. You can see me. And I'm not going to leave you because I'm not going to allow for you to suffer in silence.
Okay. Very good. Good point. All right. Now let's do this. Let's do this. We have to close out, but let's do this. Everybody, I'll give you 30 seconds to respond to this question. And Sandra, we'll start with you first. If you had one message for someone listening right now who feels ashamed with their mental health battle, what would it be?
I need them to contact the Center for Equitable Access to Treatment of Trauma, right? That's SEAT. Their phone number is 305-488-4534. And they have various different ways. They have grants where they cover services. If you live in Dade and Broward County, I think they give it to you. You can have some therapeutic services for free, or they have it as low as like $25. But these sisters are doing great work. It's Belinda Gordon and Delphine Gervais. It's SEAT, Center for Equitable Access and Treatment of Trauma, 305-488-4534.
Thank
Call
you.
them.
Kobe?
I always tell them that you are not the only one. You are not alone. There are people who will help you. I would tell them that you may want to try and use 988. Calling 988 will connect you with a counselor. It's a very supportive mental health hotline. I'm a supporter of 988, and I will tell them to have faith. I believe in faith-based practices. I believe in faith-based support. And I'm not just saying, I'm not judging what your religion is. I'm saying if you're Muslim, if you're Christian, if you are Islam, if you are Buddhist, I'm saying that you should follow your golden rule that you're going to make it because there's a higher power. Whatever, if you want to say it's the universe, there's a higher power that sees you progressing through this one situation that you're in right now. And I would tell them that you are not the only one. I've dealt with it and I've made it out very strong. I continue to battle, but you're not in this fight alone.
Okay. Dr. Scott?
Yeah, I would just simply say that get back to loving yourself. Number one. Positive affirmations. And what I mean by that, by just telling yourself one positive affirmation every day, that you are this, that I am compassionate, I am smart, I am this, and just don't get caught up in the moment. Don't get caught up on letting that one moment define you, because it will pass. It will pass. You will learn to sit in that space. And as uncomfortable as it may feel, I've had those suicidal ideations, and I'm here to tell you that they do pass. Just stay true to you. It starts with loving yourself again. Learn how to love yourself, and know that we are all beautifully flawed.
Amen.
Amen. In the words of our great Bishop Staccato Powell, transparency promotes transformation.
Amen.
Thank you, our panelists, for sharing your wisdom, and to our audience for your time and attention. These conversations matter because they move us from silence to action. Let's leave here committed to lifting each other up and keeping the dialogue alive. Family, as we close tonight's 2-minute warning, let's remember this. Mental health is health. Full stop. There is no shame in seeking help, no weakness in speaking your truth, and no failure in admitting you're not okay. In fact, it takes tremendous courage. If we truly believe in community, then we must believe in compassion for our neighbors, for our families, and for ourselves. Let's commit to breaking the silence, tearing down the stigma, and replacing shame with understanding. Because we heal our minds, we strengthen our spirits, Our families are our future. The 2-minute warning has sounded. The question is, what will you do with the time left on the clock? God bless you and thank you for joining us tonight. God bless.